Welcome to episode 3 of our mudroom renovation series, where we take this blank canvas of a room and turn it into the mudroom of our dreams. In episode 1, we talked all things design, showed our plans, our inspiration for the room, and also showed some of the materials that we'll be using, like our brass gooseneck and our tiles. In episode 2, we started the very long task of building our base cabinetry from scratch. This included edging all of the pieces of wood before assembling them, creating the cabinetry for our sink, for our hampers, and of course, the star of our mudroom, which is our mudroom lockers. These were assembled except for that tricky corner piece, which we still have to work on. Coming up, we're looking at our doors, so I hope you enjoy. Now you're all caught up.
Welcome back, everybody. We are getting stuck into some more cabinets. We're going to be finishing off in this video this corner cupboard. It's a little tricky. It's kind of like jammed in the middle on the edge of the room, and it's quite difficult to figure out how the doors are going to swing because it's in a tight area, but we want to maximize our storage. So we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty for this, and then also moving on to some doors, which is going to be really exciting. So handmade MDF doors, bit of a shaker detail. I might play around with something a little different that we didn't do with the front. So we'll see how it goes. But firstly, a massive shout out to our all-time favorite YouTube subscriber, John Tumble. You have genuinely changed my life. That CutList optimizer is just a game changer, honestly. It is just incredible. I usually would write everything down and I would use other programs and things like that and try to like jumble my sheets together. But using CutListOptimizer.com, which is a free online website, allows you to put in all of your sheet sizes that you want to cut, and basically it tells you how best to do it, and it uses the least amount of wastage. It includes thickness of the blade. It also does edge banding. So it basically tells you your entire allowance to make the best fit for all of your cuts out of however many sheets you've got. You can do things like grain direction, you can change different sheet sizes. So if you've got offcuts that you want to utilize, you can put them in as the availability, and this app figures everything out for you. Honestly, there's a lot to say about it, but I'm also quite speechless as to how I feel about this. So thank you so much. That was an amazing comment, and genuinely, I wish I found that out about 12 years ago. That would have just saved so much time over the years on so many different projects. However, thank you so much. Super grateful for you showing that out for us, because it's just been awesome. So anyway, I've basically measured everything out, and I'm just going to try and test fit it. It's going to be a little bit squishy in this corner here. So we're going to just be putting this one in first, and then I'm going to be sliding in these other ones behind me afterwards. And then we're just going to see how it goes. It's just one of those things that I've measured it as best as I could, but I really don't know how it's going to perform in this corner, especially with the door swings. It's going to be a double hinge door, so it's a little bit tricky, but the only way to do is give it a shot. So here we go.
Let's try our luck. Balls are not happening today. Like mine's good car.
Like a glove? A tight glove. Yes! Alright, so we did a little bit of shopping yesterday, went to Bunnings, bought ourselves this beautiful Tasmanian oak bench top type timber. These panels are really versatile. You can use them so much, whether you want a bench top for your kitchen or laundry or something like that. We're obviously going to be using it as our sitting bench. May very well use it as the bench top, depending on what the head designer Samantha decides to do, but this will definitely be, for the starters, our bench top. So just giving it a nice big rough sand with our belt sander, hooked up to the back because the dust is sometimes a little crazy. And then behind me I've got some MDF and a nice big old stack of MDF that we picked up yesterday too to get these doors done. So now that this corner cupboard's basically set up, what I need to do is get this bench top down first, and then I can assemble and screw all the cabinets together so that they sort of bind together nicely and I can screw them off. Temporarily they're only just sitting on packers, so this is the final thickness that we need. So once I get this all dressed up, nice and finished, we'll pop it down, probably do a stain or something like that on it later. We might play around with a few colours to get some nice dark timber to come through. But for now, just try and dress it up and get it all ready so we can set up those cabinets.
Oh, like a glove wrap. And that's where we're going to sit.
That's the sitting
Oh, that's
space.
a good sitting spot.
It is a good sitting spot. Do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Excitingly, we're now moving on to our doors, which is something we've been waiting for. So what we're doing here is cutting out the external frame of the door, or what we would call the shaker element of the door. So much like the front cabinetry of the house, we're going with a shaker look, but in the laundry or the mudroom, we're not going to do the extra molding. We've decided to keep it quite clean lines, quite straight. So we're going to do a shaker detail, and we're going to route. And what we're going to do is we're going to route out using this router, which we'll show you in a minute. Sort of like a cavity that will hold or house our middle part of the door. And that's the plan. We haven't built doors this way. This will be the first time we're doing it. In the front, we used a different method, and I can link to that video if you want to check that out. But we thought we'd try a different way. We want a different sort of look for the laundry, and I actually think this will be a bit quicker for us. So we're going to give it a go, and we'll see how we go. So to make our lives easier, we've set up a router bit here. It's like in a little template. So essentially you get a piece of wood, you slide it through, and the router piece here is going to cut this routed hole in the wood, and that's how we're going to slide our wood. So let me show you. So here's our routed piece of wood. That's the shaker, and here is the wood we've purchased, and it's going to slide in like this. So you can see that this gives you the shaker detail, and this will be kind of that middle part of the door.
All right, now while Sam's going to be working on the shaker doors, which are really coming together quite nicely, that's a really fun different detail that we're doing there. I'm going to be focusing on the washer dryer setup. So behind me over here, you can see I've just put a couple of bits of MDF in to start off with. So this is going to house our washer on the bottom. It needs to make sure it stays nice and low because there's a lot of weight in washers because of course all the water, and then the dryer will sit just above it. And I'm going to be building like a platform in between this opening of the units here so that that dryer can sort of take a bit of weight. So I might try and put maybe some pine or something like that just to provide a little bit more of a supportive frame inside the middle of here so that the dryer has a good sturdy support. And then above that, we might as well utilize the space that we've got up the top there. There's around 600 mil of space, so we're gonna just bang a cupboard up there and a nice big door that folds out so that we can use it for some extra storage. But yeah, makes the best of this use in this corner. First off, we're going to be doing the shelf in the middle. I've made the sides already, there's nothing too fancy about those. But the shelf in the middle is going to take a little bit of support from the dryer that sits above it. So some of you might have seen a bit of the methods for gluing miters together. So the front of this MDF shelf is going to have a mitered edge on it, so you don't see any raw edges of the cut sheet. And what we're going to do here is using some painter's tape, we're going to light underneath this join, go back to back with these miners, and then we're going to glue and fold them together. So that tape underneath is going to help hold that miter nice and tight. When you fold it together, then you don't need to worry about clamping it or anything like that. The painter's tape basically does, or any masking tape for that matter, does all the work for you. So let me show you. So what we're screwing to the underside of this shelf here, just to take a bit of the weight, is some of this plywood. It's actually a marine ply, just some stuff we had left over in the shed. But it's nice and thick, and they use a cross-lamination process of plywood to make it basically super strong. So each layer of the plywood here goes left, right. And that cross orientation means that you get a lot of strength. So this is only 35 mil thick by about 18 or 19 mil thick, and you cannot bend it. It's just so strong. So I'm basically going to be running these as like almost little mini joists in between this shelf. So it's just going to take a lot of that support lengthways, which of course you can use anything like other plywoods, timber. A lot of people use small sections of steel or aluminium, also helps. It doesn't need to be too crazy, but something like this makes a big difference over time, and it'll stop that shelf from bending. As you can see, I've screwed the shelf together into our big box, and when I took the tape off that miter, it turns out it looks absolutely terrible. Sometimes you don't get it right every single time. Unfortunately, my Festool track saw must have been a few degrees out on both cuts, which basically meant that it didn't join together nicely at a 45. So I'm just gonna have to put in a little bit of timber filler on this piece and paint it all up. But fortunately, it's not gonna cut much of a beating, so it's pretty fine for this instance, but we'll give it a better go next time. Now, with that installed, we're just gonna be moving on to our top piece. I'm just going to screw that in, make it out of some melamine, and basically it's just going to form that top cupboard. So that's the last bit in here, and then we might just do a little bit of prep work on this unit and then throw it in.
So today is door making day, and I've already made a frame just to test the process before I get stuck into it. But this is pretty exciting. I'm ready to make all the big doors, or the long doors for our mudroom, and it's going to start to make the space feel like it's coming together. It's very exciting. I want to go through with you how we're going to make this frame for each door. We've got an insert that will be that panel in the middle, and then we're done. It's a pretty easy way to build these doors. And we might even end up doing it for the rest of the back of the house, just because it is so much quicker. But I do want a molding detail, and with this is a plain shaker door. This doesn't have any extra molding detail, so we'll see how we go the rest of the house. But in the mudroom, I wanted that really utilitarian look, so I wanted to keep it as streamlined as possible, as clean lines as possible, so we've gone for that standard shaker door. So what I've got here is just 4 bits. We've got the kind of that joining top and bottom bit, and then we've just routed out the edging piece, which makes them come together, and that's the internal router. I'll go through this with you when I do it, and I simply just have our side pieces, which look like this, These ones are pretty tall because of our cabinets in the mudroom, and then our joiner pieces, and that is it. I know I explained this probably pretty poorly, but I will show you as I'm doing it, and hopefully that'll help explain it a little bit better. So let's get into it. I need to build 5 of these doors, and I can call it a day for today. First things first, I have a cutting list I need to get through on the drop saw here. So I'm cutting the already routed pieces of wood that you saw in the previous clips. I'm just cutting them to the size we need before we router out the joining piece. It's pretty easy, so let's get cutting. Now I have my short pieces. It's just started pouring rain outside. It's the perfect day to do a bit of DIY inside. So these ones are going to be cut at a 260. These are for the top and bottom pieces that will be routed out in a minute. So let's cut these and then we can get routering. Here's our stack. Let's go router. Here are our short bits of wood. Now we just have to router each end, the joining end, so that it will fit into the longer pieces of wood to create the frame for the doors. So we've set up a jig here, we've got the router which is embedded into the table here, and this is sort of our piece to keep the wood sturdy. It's connected to the vacuum so that we can vacuum all the dust and we don't breathe it in. So all I'm going to do is pull the piece of wood toward me, creating that joint on both sides, and make sure the vacuum is doing its magic and sucking up the dust. So let's get to it because we're pretty close to getting this part of the job done. I can't see my peripheral.
It's okay, you can't see any.
Your
Computer rolls. It's alright, keep spinning, keep spinning.
Oh no, my arms are gonna get stuck.
It's the wall.
Is that gonna fit? Oh yeah.
Hope so.
Of course it would, it's you, Brad. More. Ow! Wow! Ow!
Sorry, I didn't know your fingers were in there. Nice.
Washer, dryer, shelf above. But it's the perfect fit. You really get a sense of everything now. Why? I feel like I can't do this renovation anymore unless I have some cinnamon donuts. That's where I'm at. So we have the Festool track saw out once again, and we're going to cut the inserts for our door panels. So essentially this is the part that's going to sit inside that door frame. I just have to cut 2 60s down. I'm cutting 5 of them. So let's cut these so that we can assemble these doors. And now we get to the fun part, which is assembling our doors, putting all the pieces together, fitting them off, and then we can get to priming and hinging them later down the track. So I've got a few things here that I'll need. You're going to need a wet cloth, and that's just to get rid of the excess glue. The glue we're using is the Gorilla wood glue. We use it for most of our DIY projects. I'm going to use a brother with the 15mm nails. That's important because we don't want the end of our nails popping through the other side of the door when we fix it off. So always making sure we're getting the right size nails to fit the project that you're doing. What we're going to do is we're going to glue in the routed area, the recess of the pieces that we've already made. Make sure they're really glued up good so they're not going to slip. We're going to pin them off, and then we're going to put in that middle section panel which brings that door to life. It's pretty easy and it's going to come together really quickly, so let's get to it. I'm pretty excited about this one. Oh my gosh, it fits. I'm gonna have to take my jacket off. I'm getting hot. Okay, just need to put on top paint. We did it. The first door has been made. The first tall door for the mudroom. I think it looks pretty cool. We'll of course be sealing and priming these doors to make sure that no moisture can get into the MDF so that they are mudroom ready. Our mudroom shouldn't be getting really moist, but since it is a wet area, we'll make sure that we protect this cabinetry. But of course we'll report back and tell you how they've held up. But yes, it's looking really good. We really love how they've come together. So I'm gonna get cracking on the other three. I tell you what, it's a workout. Like I am puffed, I'm feeling puffed, but it's so nice to see them come together.
The next task here is just basically filling everything in with some wood filler, and our favourite wood filler, of course, the Nordgård from Bunnings. This filler is so good, it's our favourite. We use it in all of our videos, we're obsessed with it. It's nice, it's light, it's smooth, it's easy to sand, big fan. So we're just gonna be doing all the nail holes and any of the joints and things like that. But this one here is the last ones that we've built for the overheads. Still got a couple of the drawers to do, which is the drawers I'm working on now. But as you can see here, this detail's worked out really well. This rebated detail with the shaker on the front and on the back has worked out a treat. So really happy with how these have come out.
Let's get cracking. Here we are, surrounded with a million doors.
So much MDF.
So much doors. So, we've done majority of them. No, not even quite. We've done a lot of them.
We're over halfway.
That sounds so sad. We've done the big ones.
Yeah, we have done the big ones.
Outstanding is still the drawer fronts and the hampers.
Yeah, the door fronts, the hampers, and this tricky corner.
Oh yes, the tricky corner we've yet to tackle. So we're going to leave the video here today. I think we've shown enough of what it is to make the doors. Yeah. The cabinetry and the doors, they're just time consuming.
It's so labour intensive.
Labour intensive. You know, you just actually have to throw hours at it. The exciting thing is we're kind of coming out of that vortex of cabinetry and are heading into doing some of the finishes.
That's right, the vortex of finishes. Patching, painting, priming, sanding, painting, sanding, painting.
We always say like what do we say?
What do we say?
The last, what do we say? What's that saying?
The last 5% is always the hardest.
Yeah, it's really detailed.
Yeah.
Because you want to get it right.
And you do want to get it. It's the time, it's the good spot to put all your energy into the finish as well. You want to make sure that it's nice and sanded back, finished, so that when you do your final coat of paint, it doesn't look like you've sort of just rushed through the prep process.
Yeah.
That's what gives you your nice professional quality looking finish.
Yeah, I think like one piece of advice would be like by the time you get to this stage, you're often really tired and often a bit burnt out by the process.
You've got to pull through.
You've got to give it the time and energy it needs. Like, don't rush the end. Don't just be like, I'm sick of it, slap it together. I just want this over with. It's worth slowing down, taking the time and doing it properly so that it will, one, last, but two, also like just look good. Because if you rush the finishes, you could have put so much good work into the rest of it and it will still look rubbish. You know, you've got to get those finishes right.
That's it.
So with the MDF, we are going to prime it, seal it, paint it, make sure it's all sealed and appropriate for this room. We'll probably do that in the next video. We'll be priming and sealing, but also painting the colour cabinetry.
You have to pick a colour.
I know. It'll be moody. We know that. We also have our tiles being delivered on Monday for
so
this
exciting.
room.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, which is like super exciting. Then we have our wall, like our feature wall and our dog bowls to do, and we're actually headed home. We're on the home run.
We're on the home stretch. That's it. We're headed home. We're on the home stretch. It's just sink and fit off and painting and doing the rest of the plastering work, and then we're really, it's basically finished.
We're actually like pretty close at this point, which is really exciting. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you in the next one. Hopefully it won't be 3 weeks this time. We are trying to stay to the fortnight, but we can only build as fast as we can build.
That's right.
So please forgive us for that. But we'll see you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed.
That's it. Speak to you soon.
Bye.